Welcome back to the Steady Boss Show, ladies and gentlemen. So, this evening we have our very first show, and we're going to delve right into it. We're going to talk about a burning subject in Jamaica right now, and that has to do with our politics. As you know, we just had our recent elections. And what we saw in that election was a landslide victory for the Jamaica Labour Party and the PMP, who were very much geared for the elections and who were very confident about being victorious, came up short. Very disappointing results for the PMP and the JLP. It was an astounding victory. So, you know, my producer and myself will just explore some recent developments. And it's very interesting, because just last year I was in a conversation with somebody and I said that, I believe that Hanna, the beautiful Lisa Hanna, would be a very good fit for the presidency of the People's National Party. And when I said that, I wasn't thinking on it, or thinking about it on any serious level. It was just a thought that I was entertaining for a while. I mean, I'm not going to tell you that I'm the most politically inclined person, but since our Jamaican politicians and our leaders have decided to use social media and to implement social media into their affairs on a regular basis, they've basically brought the politics and what's happening with the governance of the country to the common people on the ground. And I've been paying attention. I've been paying attention to the Prime Minister, the Right Honorable Andrew Holness, and what he's been doing over the years. And of course, my producer and I have been having a lot of conversations, and in those conversations, we've been having a lot of disagreements, in that she was always more serious and in touch with what's going on in the political arena from over the years, because she would have inherited this from way down the line. I'm not going to refer to anybody or any group of people in particular and get myself in trouble. But for me now, it's just a matter of I never really pay attention to what's going on in the political arena. However, I must say that since Andrew came on the scene, I've been paying attention, and this has led to, my being impressed with a lot of things that he's been doing. And I'm sure I don't just speak for myself, I also speak for a lot of Jamaicans. Yeah? And of course, this has sparked a lot of debates between the wife and myself. And recently, to just get back to or to get to the subject, recently we've been looking at the whole suggestion that after the defeat of the PMP, that Lisa Hanna was first being mentioned as the next eligible candidate for the presidency of the People's National Party. Yeah? And and even more recently, she has indicated that she is interested and will be offering her candidacy for, the presidency of the People's National Party. So this was interesting to me, or this is very interesting to me because you know what? I said it, I got a lot of pushbacks, not just from my producer, but from a lot of persons out there. And now, you know, less than a year later, we're hearing a lot about Lisa and her being the best person right now. So I'm sure this is not going to be a one-part conversation, right? Because there's much more to it. But we're just going to zoom in on just some things about Lisa and her being the person right now. So at this point, my belief is that, you know, I don't think I have to say much about Andrew Holness. Andrew Holness has, first of all, he created history by becoming the only prime minister to have who was born after, you know, the independence of Jamaica, the ninth prime minister of Jamaica. Mr. Holness is just Mr. Holness is just 48 years old, married with 2 children. Um, University educated. I do believe that he's educated in business and also development, where I believe he has his master's degree. And we know that he came on the scene right after Bruce Golden decided to step down from the presidency of the JLP, came on the scene. And of course, we know that for the 2012 election, he was, you know, defeated by none other than the great Mama P. And Mama P has been the only female prime minister Jamaica has seen. For Lisa Hanna now, what can we say about Lisa Hanna? Lisa wears many hats. Lisa, we know Miss World 1993, was it 1993? It's quite a while now. And I was just kind of digging through Lisa's profile, and her history would have shown that she's been around for a while. She's been working on the ground for a while, worked with many youth organizations. She was the Minister of Youth and Culture at one point. Worked with UNICEF, worked with Jamal, also married with 1 child, 45 years old, yeah? Also university educated, up to the master's level, I believe. Now, there are some commonalities between Lisa and Andrew, because one very important observation that I've made about these two is that, you know, Andrew has several areas in which he really appeals to the Jamaican people. Yeah? Areas such as leadership, credibility. Yeah? Leadership, credibility, the use of technology, being down to earth, relating to the youth, and, you know, different facets of society. So those are some of the things Andrew does well. I look through Lisa's profile. As I see that Lisa also has a lot of things that are similar to Andrew. Right? We may differ from some of the things I've mentioned on the list, and of course, those aren't the only things that are on the list. But those are just some of the things that come to mind. I actually had some notes here, but for some reason my computer is not working with me, so I'm going off the fly with a number of things. But one of the things I want to bring to my producer's attention is that, okay, so I'm getting some information here as we speak. So some of the things that, people look at, some characteristics, Lisa Hanna, when it comes on to stuff, I don't know why, if this belongs in the conversation, but I'm going to throw it in anyway. So when it comes on to physical appeal, people like to look at Lisa, well, they say, well, that she's a 5-star in that regard, and I guess that goes mostly for the men and also for the ladies, because the ladies love to see a beautiful young woman shining. And for bro God now, for the image and I guess the Clarks and that kind of stuff, I don't know if anybody would argue whether he's a 5-star or a 4-star general, but we can leave that. When it comes on to being real, Lisa Hanna, would she be a 4-star? The local language, I don't know how well she does with the local language. Well, Lisa speak her part of both of them speak them stuff, so I don't think I would knock her that much. But for Andrew Holness, we look at 5-star based on background story. But I do believe that for both of them, they came from humble beginnings, right? And so in many ways we see the similarities. So I know I've done some talking before, and there's another voice that we want to add. And for now, I will not disclose the name of the person that will be joining in the discussion. But I guess at this point, the real question is, does Lisa have what it takes to become the president of the People's National Party? And not just that, but does Lisa have what it takes to defeat the great Andrew Holness, especially at this point?
So to help the public to answer that question, we can continue to draw a parallel between Lisa and Andrew.
Okay.
And I'll just go with the ones that you said before. When it comes to physical appeal, Andrew looks good. He dresses nicely. He's fine. But but yeah, are you really gonna give Andrew a 5-star over Lisa's 4-star?
I guess it depends on who we're talking about,
Right.
but I guess it's debatable.
Lisa is a hands down 5. I don't know. I let the people answer.
Lisa is a 5, just to be clear.
Just to be clear, nobody
Right.
goes into parliament looking like that and don't come out with a 5.
All right, fair enough.
On the real appeal, I think you mentioned something very interesting. People know Brogat's story.
Mm-hmm.
They know where he comes from. They know his background. They know about his mother, where they lived when he was younger.
Mm-hmm.
And somebody who knows the story more than I can talk about it.
Good.
But then not many people know about Lisa's story. When we look at Lisa, we see her as an uptown girl. We don't know her story. We know that she was Miss World.
But I don't know that Lisa is an uptown girl. Now, to be honest with you, I had to do some research because one of the things that I was led to believe for a very long time, yeah, and I'm open to be corrected, is that I believe that Lisa Hanna was the daughter of the owners of Hanna's Better Buy. And then, she has the long hair and she has that appeal that look like, they don't look like me and you. Even though when it comes out to you, people probably would beg to differ. You understand me? But she looks different. She looks like she comes from money. You understand me? But when I look into her background, I realize that Lisa is from St. Mary. I believe her mom was a dressmaker, her dad was a farmer. and she came from humble beginnings. I don't know. Maybe she just
And see, that will be news to many Jamaicans. That will be news to many Jamaicans because.
won the genetic lottery.
Right! They're pretty! She pretty bad.
Alright.
Beautiful dark skinned Indian descent child. Nice young lady. So when it comes to real appeal, if we know that background for Lisa, if we know say our people in poor, we love her even more because I just so we stay as Jamaican.
Absolutely.
But what we usually see is this young lady who we perceive to be from uptown who speaks this mesolethal variety of Creole, which means that she's somewhere in the middle of the spectrum. Don't speak the deep patois, so the deep patois people can't understand.
No, but I don't see where Andrew necessarily speak deep patois.
No, but the difference now is Andrew's background story that everybody knows versus the background story that not everybody knows.
So you're contending that it is in Andrew's favor that everyone knows his background story.
We have to know about you. That makes you real to us. If we don't know nothing about you, you're not real to it.
So I would ask you the question then. So is it that should persons become aware?
Absolutely. Lisa should tell our story.
You don't believe she tells her story?
I don't know. I never heard it. I'm an average Jamaican. And if you would ever tell me that you come from St. Mary with dressmaker mother, I wouldn't know.
But that's kind of crazy though, because I know you to be someone that leans more towards the People's National Party.
I think so too. But I don't know. So that for sure you. And that probably just shows that I'm not as in touch as I believe I am.
So is it that you're then saying that this is an era of opportunity for Lisa to address and...
Absolutely. If we are comparing Andrew to Lisa and if we're saying would she be a formidable opponent to go up against the current Prime Minister, who is himself quite formidable as we see.
That's okay.
As we see.
That's okay.
If she's going to go up against him, does she have to tell her story? Absolutely. She has to become more real to us. She has to become more accessible to the average Jamaican. We have to know her and like her for who she is.
Right.
Not who we think she is, because who we perceive her to be and who she actually is, we realize might be two different things. We see her as a name out of sausage can.
So that doesn't qualify. That doesn't qualify.
It does. It absolutely does. Okay. But that's only a small fraction of what we know about her. She loves great sausage.
And she's been in the sun. As a matter of fact, now that you've mentioned that, in my research, I saw where somebody said that, wouldn't it be nice to have a prime minister who knows how to twerk?
Lord have mercy. Somebody said that?
Somebody said that. I don't know. I know she knows her culture and she knows how to dance. I don't know that I've ever seen her twerking.
Don't twerk.
So the people in the comment section, you can let us know if you've ever seen Lisa twerking or anything like that. But that's a different situation. But I suppose what they're essentially saying is that she has that appeal.
Yeah.
That can capture the youth.
I guess the twerk appeal will work for some Jamaicans. I'm not going to rule out them.
Every Jamaican matters. You understand me? And when it comes on to elections, every single vote counts. So if it's even 100,000, well, I don't know. Well, yeah, we have more than 100,000 persons who are in for the local culture. But what's going on right now, the twerking or whatever. So if it's even that's a lot of votes. That's a lot of votes that she would get. So she has something for that particular segment. But so the question comes around now. Now that we've established that, Lisa, she has a lot of the common characteristics that the Prime Minister has.
On that note, can we just skip back to Tech Appeal?
Tech Appeal? Alright, let's go ahead with it. Yeah.
So for Twitter, Lisa Hanna has 26.4 thousand followers.
On Twitter?
On Twitter.
Okay.
Prime Minister Andrew Holness has 168.7 thousand followers.
Okay.
Twitter, right?
Okay.
Just doing the comparison. For Instagram,
But if Andrew is the prime minister, then don't you think that naturally he would have more followers
yeah,
on Twitter?
I think so.
Alright, cool.
I think so. So for Instagram, Lisa Hanna has 421,000 followers. The Prime Minister has 487,000. For Facebook, counting the likes, Lisa Hanna's page has 176,000 likes, and Minister Holness's page has 331,000
Okay.
more likes.
Okay.
Both of them created their pages in 2011, and I found that to be interesting.
You know what would be interesting to find out of the other MPs within the PMP, because I'm not mean to bash Dr. Peter Phillips, but I doubt Dr. Peter Phillips had has as much persons following him on social media. I could be corrected on that one as well. And he was the president of the People's National Party. So this is kind of telling me that Lisa does have some appeal and very strong appeal. Why, that would be so. I could be corrected. Are you fact checking me on that one?
Absolutely.
It's okay.
Peter Phillips has 39,000 likes on his Facebook page.
And what number you give for Lisa again?
176,000 and 331,000 for Minister Holness.
For Minister Holness.
Right.
What about Lisa?
Minister Hanna has 176,000.
Which is more than the very.
Which is very much more than 36,000.
All right, so that tells us something right there. But let's talk about education just for a little bit. So, from what I've seen, I believe Lisa is educated. She has a first and second degree, I believe, in communications. Do you believe that a first and second degree in communication, as opposed to Andrew Holness, who has first and second degrees basically in leadership and development, management and development, do you believe that that's of any significance in terms of eligibility to run the country?
In terms of qualifying them for the position, no. But in terms of preparing them for the position, yes, quite possibly. Because if you go to school to learn about management and leadership and that is what you're going to do, then it's different. If you go to school to learn to talk, then that is different. But guess what? Which one wins that? Which one can win an election? Either can win an election. So
and
both are valuable.
And we can't say that Andrew has any gaps as it relates to communicating with people and reaching individuals on the ground.
No, sir.
And we know that Lisa has that down pat as well. So, one of the questions I want to ask, I know that I've seen on social media where a number of persons alluded to the fact that, Mama P at one point said to Lisa that don't worry, your time will come. And when I look throughout Lisa's background and the different organizations that she's worked with, she's also had international exposure. She's been alongside Nelson Mandela at one point, United Nations. There are some other mentions that are very, very critical. So that would tell us that Lisa would have had the opportunity to get a lot of grooming on public leadership, and clearly this must have been something that she's been thinking about for quite some time now, based on the track record and the coming up through the ranks. Now, one of the things we are sure of is that the young Andrew Holness, he's had his fair share of mentoring. in matters of leadership and governance. Because as a young prime minister, he was identified as the person that would take over where when Bruce Golden decided to step down. So that brings us to the point now. Lisa has been around quite a number of influential, brilliant leaders as well. So would there be a deficit on her part as it relates to being a good enough leader to be a good competitor, or even a good enough leader to defeat Andrew Holness? And what would be the comparison, of the appeal for a Lisa Hanna being a prime minister of Jamaica, as opposed to Andrew Holness?
Alright, two things. My mind is going in two different directions.
Okay, go ahead.
Let's address one first.
No problem.
Let's look at the people who were possibly mentoring them. Possibly mentoring them, which means that it's verifiable, but it's not verified.
Okay.
So, so say that, based on your arguments, that Minister Hanna was being mentored by Prime Minister Portia.
No, I said she must have been possibly been mentioned.
Right. Say that was the case. Hypothetically speaking, that was the case.
That was the case. Okay.
Then she would have been mentored by a woman many Jamaicans loved and many Jamaicans despised. Probably in equal measure, I don't know.
All right.
We don't know.
So with that being said, I'm going to raise something, and it might be a little controversial for some individuals, but we know that, some of the characteristics that make Lisa appealing to us right now, one could argue that Mama P may not have been the strongest in those areas. And I'm not going to touch on that because I don't know as much about Mama P from certain standpoints which individuals would claim to know her. But one thing we can say, are we seeing another Mama P in Lisa Hanna, or are we seeing a better version of Mama P coming out of the same party?
Alright, well, I don't know if I should or if I should answer, or should I just put more situations out there?
It's okay, but I would love for you to answer, because it's a question.
Okay.
Because what we want to establish, or what we want to understand, is what factors are the people on the ground looking at when it comes on to making their decisions, and when it comes on to electing someone to the presidency of a party who could possibly become the prime minister in the next general election.
Well, as an average Jamaican, I will speak on behalf of some average Jamaicans.
Some, okay.
Some. Can't qualify it any more than that.
Right.
Many Jamaicans don't see Lisa Hanna as another Sister P.
They don't?
No.
Okay.
She's not another Sister P to some of us, and she is not a better version of Sister P. She's just Lisa.
She's just Lisa.
She's just Lisa. She offers something very different. And I believe that Jamaicans appreciate what she offers. Now, let's look at how she won the last election, and let's see how much Jamaicans appreciate
No,
that.
but before you go there,